Lonely Monk Productions. I don't know if y'all have watched The Mitchells vs. the Machines on Netflix yet, but yo.
That's my Jawn! Hey yo, displace the guilt and...
What is good, friends and family, neighbors, near and far? Welcome to the Yo, That's My Jawn podcast, a podcast so short, we don't even use all of the letters. I am your host, Nate Runkle, a.k.a. Nate 3.0, and I hope this podcast finds you in good health and in good spirits. Happy Memorial Day, folks. Please excuse my voice. I played a live gig yesterday, and this old dog just ain't running back with the stick like he used to. If you are new to the pod or you are not familiar with the podcast, these are normally just short supplemental mini episodes released on the off weeks to do some housekeeping, catch up, preview the next episode, stuff like that. But this week, you are in for a treat. Earlier this month, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame announced its 2021 Hall of Fame inductees. Tina Turner, Carole King, The Go-Go's, Todd Rundgren, Kraftwerk, Charlie Patton, Gil Scott-Heron, Billy Preston, LL Cool J, Clarence Avant, Randy Rhoads, and the fucking Foo Fighters? The inclusion of the Foo Fighters threw my brain into a tizzy, and I needed to talk about it. So, to help me swallow that pill, I threw up the bat signal and called an emergency meeting of the PA chapter of the Fun-Loving Criminals Fan Club. So, joining me today on the podcast to discuss the 2021 Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductees, and, more specifically, Dave Grohl and the Foo Fighters, are my former guest of the pod, DX, and one of my bestest mates in this life, James. Gang, welcome to the show, the Brothers Ferris.
All right. Ready when you are.
All right, so I am joined today by the Brothers Ferris for a good roundtable discussion about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductees.
Live in front of your naked, steaming eyeballs for the first time on a podcast.
I did not know it was going to be that kind of call.
And let me start off by saying that I was on this podcast, this excellent, kick-ass, very cool podcast before. And apparently I've referred to my brother as my brother somewhere between 7 and 95 times without mentioning his actual name. And I would like to apologize for that. My brother is a cool dude. I love my brother. My brother's name is... No, that was my own psycho privacy issues. My brother is James, and I'm very, very excited to be here talking with him.
Hello, glad to be here. You know, this is actually my second podcast appearance. The first one I recorded was ultimately never released, so I'm crossing my fingers this one makes it.
Okay, yeah, this one will make it. If we don't get canceled before then, we should be good. But, as I said...
Quit your podcasting job.
Patreon folks,
they're coming for me.
Pay to play.
So, like I said, I wanted to put this roundtable together to discuss the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame questions, inductees. But before we do, let me just get some general thoughts. We'll go around the horn. We'll start with James. What do you think of the Rock Hall of Fame? Are you a fan? Do you think it has a place?
It has a place. I mean, I have no strong feelings about it either way. Like many awards, it is purely designed just for the industry to pat itself on the back primarily. I've been to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame once, and I found it kind of dull, to be honest.
It's not that good.
Yeah, I mean,
it's not that good.
Part of I think my whole problem with it is most music for me is about my personal connection to it, and I don't really have a personal connection to Jim Morrison's pants.
Yeah,
which were on display.
It's small too. It's small.
His pants?
Well, no, the Rock Hall.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah,
like it looks big on the outside, but inside, not
so I mean, there was nothing about the physical space that grabbed me, and just even conceptually, like, okay, it's everybody patting each other on the back.
Yeah, I mean, how excited you raise a very good point, which is, and I've always questioned those kind of museums because, like, how excited can you get at, like, hey, this is the guitar pick or the microphone that he did this with, and I don't care about that.
Exactly. You know, there's no way to put together a museum that makes me feel as excited as I did about listening to Nirvana for the first time when I was 14. You know, no matter what they put in there.
Absolutely, absolutely. Dave, what do you think?
Yeah, you know, back to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and Museum. You know, as a former, sometimes journalist, I have to refer to its full official title, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and Museum. I saw the ZZ Top Eliminator car there. And this was 2003, 2004-ish, before cell phone cameras were a really big thing. And they were dicks about not letting people take a picture with the car.
Really?
So what is the point of going to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame Museum and seeing the ZZ Top Eliminator and being told you can't have a photo with this car? That's just a dick move. And that's
100%.
kind of emblematic of what the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame tends to be. Like, you can come and look at it, but you don't get anything cool. You don't get any real access because it's for us. It's for us and our little circle jerk club of people that we think is cool. And the club's getting a little bit cooler in recent years. You know, some heavy bands have been in. Iron Maiden didn't make the cut this year for reasons that are very thoroughly deserved. They know what they did. That's a whole other subject. But, you know, it's basically, on one hand, you have to have accomplished some things. You have to have penetrated the national consciousness. But I mean, by the time Slayer, my dudes, and like by the time they won a Grammy, for example, they were in there because people knew what the word Slayer was.
Yeah.
And to paraphrase Henry Rollins, when your mom knows what something is, it's over. But to get into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, your mom has to know who they are. So on one hand, you certainly have to get up to that level. You know, I'm not one of these people that will say, well, the Eagles suck, you know, just because they have the best-selling album of the 20th century doesn't mean, you know, well, that does mean something. So if you have enough of a career to be recognized by those elite, snooty, self-satisfied, smug jerks, you know, you've certainly done something. But, I mean, does it validate it? You know, it kind of kills me every year when the rock and roll winners and losers are announced and people like, not naming names, Eddie Trunk, will get these incredible cheap pops from the crowd by going on Twitter and social media and their talk shows and going, you know, people hate rock and roll, but I'm here to say that heavy metal's good. And then all their fans go, oh, yeah, that's right. Heavy metal is awesome. You're awesome, Eddie. You're speaking the truth. But
you know, on the subject of bands that have not been inducted but have met the 25 year after their first release criteria, what, no Bloodhound Gang?
Ooh, it's a crime.
See, there you go.
Use your fingers, 1995. Look it up.
Bam.
That is a crime. So, you know, yeah, like,
so it means something, but it doesn't mean anything to me.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I kind of had that little rant that I went on actually on your episode about the Monkees not being in the Hall of Fame. And part of it was in jest, but I am, you know, honest in my admiration of them and that I think they should be in the Hall of Fame because it's become bullshit. I mean, that's really what it comes down to me.
Not cool enough.
No, well, that's
the
what
Monkees aren't cool enough, so they're not in.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Laura Nero,
yeah,
is.
Yeah. You know, since they started televising the ceremony, the selections have gotten more and more suspect. You know, you go back and you look at, and also it's just because we don't have a lot of great artists left that aren't already in there, you know, which is one thing I want to kind of discuss, which is, do you have to induct this many people every year? Why don't they just take a year off? Like, we ain't got no one that's good enough. I mean, I know why, money, but you know.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, they've turned it into maybe empire is too strong a word, but, you know, they have commitments to air the special and have the climactic jam session with everybody that's been nominated and yada, yada, yada. So, you know, they do have an obligation to do a show every year.
Yeah.
And the votes are still not a transparent process. So I would be surprised if there is not a little bit of massaging of the demographics and the inductees to feed that televised spectacle that James so astutely brought up there.
I think that's absolutely 100%. So there's a question. As a journalist, did you ever have a vote? You wrote for some stuff for Rolling Stone. They ever toss you a vote?
No, I never voted. I covered some of the this, that, and the other things the week of. I wasn't exactly on the red carpet, but I was there taking notes for some things.
Okay.
But nah, nobody gives a shit what I think.
Okay, so here are the 2021 Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductees. In the performer category, we're looking at Tina Turner, Carole King, the Go-Go's, Jay-Z, the Foo Fighters, and Todd Rundgren. Early influence, we've got Kraftwerk, Charlie Patton, and Gil Scott-Heron. And musical excellence, which used to be the Sidemen category, but they changed it to musical excellence. And I don't even know what that means. Actually, I do. It honors originality and influence in creating music that has had a dramatic impact on music. Anyway, LL Cool J, Billy Preston, Randy Rhoads. And then the Ahmet Ertegun Award goes to Clarence Avant.
Randy Rhoads, yeah.
Randy Rhoads.
There it all is, isn't it? Ozzy, not in the Rock Hall. Randy Rhoads is.
It's weird, right? It's really weird.
What's Lemmy's quote?
Deservedly. I'm not bagging on Randy Rhoads.
Sure.
What's Lemmy's quote about Randy Rhoads? Something to the effect of he was the most improved guitarist after he died.
Ooh, James busted out that quote. That was not me, folks.
I'm just quoting awesome. Lemmy.
Also not in the Rock Hall, but yeah,
overall, pretty solid class.
It's not bad. I look at the LL Cool J thing though, and I'm like, how are you putting him in as musical excellence and not just as a performer? Like, what are you doing? Is that just like them like, well, we got to get him in here somehow? Like, I don't even understand how that happens.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of like The Martian winning for best comedy. Right. Like what? Huh? Like LL Cool J is like some kind of like you can qualify what a good front man he is.
Yeah.
Well, again, back to the politics side of things, there's, a well-known push to include rappers and hip hop artists in the Hall of Fame without some controversy thereof. There's a little bit of pushback on that, and including LL Cool J, maybe not as an inductee, but as someone they can kind of squeeze in the side door, kind of diffuses that.
That makes sense. The here's some of the people who were nominated this year who did not get in: Mary J. Blige, Kate Bush, Devo, Iron Maiden, Shaka Khan by Devo. Solo, Fela Kuti, New York Dolls, Rage Against the Machine, and Dionne Warwick.
That Iron Maiden snub is criminal.
Well, it's really funny because
they know what they did. Their entire career. This is the controversy I was alluding to earlier, and we can drop it immediately because you don't want to hear me talk about this for an hour.
I kind of do.
Iron Maiden's entire career is reduced by 3-letter grades and not so much for writing and recording Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner, but for playing it live 2 fucking tours in a row during the mid-'80s when thrash was taking off. That's not entertainment. I mean, I understand that people need to pee and buy beer during a concert, but holy fuck. So Iron Maiden, that's why. That cost them votes. That's what happened.
That was it. They do the fan ballot every year and let the fans vote. And I don't even understand how this ballot works because looking at the fan votes and looking at who got in makes no sense. But on the fan ballot, number 5 on votes was the Foo Fighters. Number 4 was Iron Maiden. Number 3 was the Go-Go's. Number 2 was Fela Kuti. And number 1 was Tina Turner. So clearly, they just kind of go with what they want at that point because your number 2 and your number 4 didn't make your Rock Hall inductees. So.
Question for you: is it wrong to not induct Rage Against the Machine at this point?
I would say yes, because of what we came here to discuss, really, which is the inclusion of the Foo Fighters. I think at this point, it kind of opens a floodgate to. There's an argument to be had that every single person should be in the Rock Hall of Fame as long as you had a hit single.
I'll let Dave take that one.
Let me think of an answer to the question. They should be in there. It was some of the awesomest shit ever, but including them at this point with their past, present, future up in the air, it doesn't really play into a neat narrative. And that is what the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame likes to do.
Like a way I rate what I consider to be great bands is whether they had 3 quote unquote great albums. And did Rage really have 3 great albums?
1, 2.
Are we counting the cover album?
No.
Okay.
I mean, undoubtedly the first album, absolutely.
Yeah.
Evil Empire, yeah.
And
Third
then they
album
broke up.
Then they all tragically died in a helicopter accident.
That's right.
Shame.
And they posthumously released the covers album.
I really would like to hear what that Zach solo album was that he was working on with like Quest and stuff. What that really sounded like, because it makes me. He's one of those guys who I really think about in the idea of the alternate universe of what if, what if he just tried to MC his way? Do you think he could hang with like, all of the kind of backpack rappers at that time, because that's who he was working with, right?
I did a playlist a few months ago of all Zach De La Rocha non-Rage tracks, and I came down with about maybe 12 or 13 of them. And outside of the Rage Against the Machine idiom, he is much less interesting.
Yeah.
Just hearing him rap against like a 808 beat is just very dull. He doesn't really have the flow or whatever you want to call it to pull it off, in my humble opinion. Hearing him against the other 3 guys in Rage, he's phenomenal. He's spectacular. But just
and those guys without him also, for my money, a lot less interesting.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
true.
Like Tom Morello, like Night Watchman, give me a break.
Yeah.
But yeah, Zach minus Rage is just not as interesting.
And here, let me tell you why Rage deserves to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I've been saving this for a retrospective that I never got around to writing, so I might as well drop it here. Rage's 2 iconic, like, high watermark performances are this. Number 1, it was a performance of complete silence. Like protesting, it was Mumio, right?
Yeah, that was in Philly, I believe, Lollapalooza.
Right. They just came out, were their mouths actually taped shut?
Yep. Yeah.
They came out, mouths taped shut, sat down on the stage and did not play.
Naked.
Performance, yeah, naked. Thank you.
Not that I remember.
Not that there's anything wrong with that. So 1 performance, silence. They didn't even play. How deconstructive is that? How massive is that? Silence. Here's the other one. In Europe, playing a festival, they literally made a crowd register on the Richter scale. They literally shook the earth.
All right.
And tell me 2 other bands that have done those 2 things. And for them not to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, I mean, if the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame was about pure awesome, yeah, they should be in. But
yeah.
they're not.
See, but I don't know this for a fact, but I would also imagine that getting into the Hall of Fame is a lot like the Oscars or the Emmys, where there's a lot of campaigning that needs done. There's a lot of back scratching, a lot of handshakes that need exchanged. And I can't imagine Rage being into that.
It's really funny though, because Tom Morello is a voting member of the Hall of Fame, and he, I believe, was instrumental in getting Kiss inducted.
That's right. I heard that.
Yeah. So it makes me wonder. I bet there would be someone who would argue in his name, right?
Well, they have some pretty powerhouse managers too.
Yeah. So they wouldn't have to do it themselves, right? Yeah. Someone could make those chess pieces fall into place.
Let's just stop talking about the Rock Hall thing, and let's drop all pretense and just talk about Rage Against the Machine.
I'll say one last thing about Rage. The thing that continually blows my mind is that first album came out in 93. Is that right? 93? Yeah. Like, what the fuck else sounded like that in 1993?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. As a matter of fact, I don't think I was ready for it. Like, I remember the first time I heard Freedom, I was like, this is terrible. And then I heard Killing in the Name. And I was like, oh, okay, I get it. But no, they're an act that I could even accept being in, just not even based off of their music, but their
I mean, if for
influence,
nothing
right?
else, the guitar solo from Bulls on Parade.
Yes.
Yeah, it sparked the movement, took the guitar in new places as well. I mean, in addition to being awesome, I mean, there are concrete, tangible musical things they did and cultural.
Yeah. You don't get to join the E Street Band after the fact just by being a slump, you know? Still don't understand how that happened. But so
who else?
So those were the people who were on the nominee list that didn't get in on the fan ballot, though. And this one cracks me up. Dead last on the fan ballot was Jay-Z. But Jay-Z is now a first ballot inductee into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. What are your thoughts on, before we go any further, on hip hop in the Rock Hall of Fame or other genres? Like, there was that stink a while back when Miles Davis got in. Do you think it should be exclusively kind of rock, or is it just now the Music Hall of Fame?
Next question.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose that's a semantic point. I mean, like for the rap audience, it's authentic. It's rooted in their experience, and they're not playing guitars. So,
yeah. All right. I feel it. I have no problem with it because, again, I mean, and this goes back to, I can't pinpoint the date. I tried looking for exactly when I felt this way, but it's all bullshit to me anyway. So I don't understand. I really don't understand when people get upset that somebody like, oh, I can't believe they let him in. He's not a rock guy. And it's like, okay, slow up. Like I don't get it. It's to me, it's just like a popular music Hall of Fame. And I'm the guy who unapologetically refers to everything as pop music. So, yeah. So I have no problem with it.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I'm not a huge Jay-Z fan. But Beastie Boys, like, yeah, absolutely. Throw the Beastie Boys in there.
Yeah.
But if Devo's not in, something's very, very, very,
and that's the weird thing, man. It's like there's all of these acts that have been eligible for years that still have not got in, like Devo. They've kind of course corrected with Kraftwerk, even though they just put them in on the bullshit early influence tag instead of performers, right? There's things that just logically do not make sense other than it's a TV show that they are producing. That's the only answer I can come to. And that's it, which kind of brings me to what brought us together here, which is the Foo Fighters are Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductees.
More like the Boo Fighters. Am I right?
So the second I read that, I messaged both of you guys, and I immediately in my head was like, we have to get this on mic and have this conversation. But this is wrong, right? This is... Like, I don't mean like I disagree. I just mean like this is wrong. I can't think of any other way to explain it.
Yeah, I mean, James, what's up with your boy Dave Grohl?
For the record, I am neither a Foo Fighters fan nor a hater. This
You're saying you're Foo agnostic?
I am Foo agnostic. It does support. Like, I think if there's anybody that's really going to lobby to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame at this point, it's probably Dave Grohl. That's just who he is.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess
I want to take a moment here and point out that the first person that ever brought Dave Grohl and his Nirvana track to my attention was James.
Oh.
He's like, hey, there's the track where the drummer sings.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit, because I kind of feel like that kind of goes to the heart of your Foo Fighters hate in a way. The track he's referring to, if anybody is unaware, is Marigold, which was a B-side to the Heart-Shaped Box single. And
in fact, let's pause this for a second, real quick.
Yeah.
If you had to say on a scale of 1 to 10, James, how big a Nirvana fan are you?
I would say I'm like a 9.1. I'm not crazy Nirvana like some people are, but I feel like I have a very tasteful, deep appreciation for them.
I would say, like, short of being like fanboy or like standing for them, like I would put you at a 10 because you know what you're talking about, and the fact that you didn't claim you're a 10 means that you deserve a 10.
Well, thank you.
But I mean, you've always been deep into their stuff. You know, you got a lot of alternate cuts of Floyd the Barber.
Yes, I do. So yeah, the track Marigold is like this very cool downbeat kind of ethereal track that was a B-side that the instant anybody heard it, everybody was like, oh, that's really good. So I kind of feel that that put Dave Grohl on a pedestal very early on, pre-Foo Fighters. And then once Foo Fighters finally did drop, it sounded nothing like that, either sonically or qualitatively. And I feel, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like maybe that turned a lot of people, including you, against the Foo Fighters just because Dave Grohl couldn't deliver on the promise of Marigold.
No, I didn't like the song that much.
You did not? Really?
No. More like Marigold. Am I right?
Oh,
bam!
So, and I think this is what's funny is, with as huge of a Nirvana fan as James is, and as agnostic as he is on the Foo Fighters.
How would you rate yourself, Nate?
That's what I was just going to say. I
think Nate's the exact opposite.
I am. I'm trying to think of a number, but I actually, and this is why this blows my mind, this whole Hall of Fame thing, is I am actually a bigger Foo Fighters fan than I am a Nirvana fan.
and Nate and I have had many arguments about this.
A lot of arguments about this. Like, if you want to talk about in the network, I'll take Hole over Nirvana. I'll take the Foo Fighters over Nirvana. Like, I'm like a cold 6 on Nirvana.
But Kurt Cobain wrote Hole's best album.
Well, then it's good that he finally wrote something enjoyable. I don't know what it is. Like, there's something about, and it just petered out over time because, like, I love Bleach. Bleach is one of my favorite albums of all time. All right. I love a good part of Nevermind, and I just never got into In Utero, and I don't know why. Like, something just in my head wouldn't let me enjoy any of those songs. And so yeah, I'm like a hard 6.
Hard 6 on Nirvana or hard 6 on Foo Fighters?
Hard 6 on Nirvana. On the Foo Fighters, I'm like 7.5. Like, I don't even like them that much. It's just I know that I like them. I would rather, like, if I had my choice, it would be like, why don't you put a Foo Fighter song on?
Dave, where would you rate yourself on Nirvana?
I would, like, I'm not gonna. I don't want to offend the fans and say that, like, I'm down and I haven't read nearly as many books about you, but they were super important to me. And I listened to them a lot through the 90s after, the late, great Kurt passed. Kurt Cobain dying was one of those, like, where were you moments? So I would put myself at a 7, just for the lack of ephemera that I have around me. But they were really super important to me. And I never got over Kurt Cobain's death. I didn't go to Lollapalooza that year. The Beastie Boys were playing, and I was like, no, fuck it. I don't care. Nothing means anything. Life is pointless.
Oh, man.
And, obviously that was maybe not the right call in retrospect.
Yeah.
But the Beastie Boys were going to tour every year for the next 30 years, right?
Oh, God.
So, yeah, like, I'm
hands up if you had
saying
tickets for the Beasties Rage Against the Machine tour.
Oof.
So, yeah, 7-ish, maybe 8-ish.
Yeah. I mean, like, and I don't want my hard 6 to come across as like I'm a Nirvana hater. I'm a Kurt hater. No, I'm kidding. No, like, I appreciate Nirvana. I do. And I would never try to take away from everything that they do. You know what because
it sounds like you're doing exactly that, Nate.
I know, but here's the reason why. And I haven't really built this out yet, but I've always had this theory in my head that Kurt Cobain killed the guitar solo. And I am a big guitar solo guy. So, like, the fact that in my head he made guitar solos bullshit in other people's minds is like a strike against him. Does that make sense?
He really didn't, though. He has solos all over the place.
Yeah, but
admittedly, they're
solos.
unimaginative. They mostly just follow the vocal melody.
Yeah.
But he's got guitar solos.
He solos like Billy Joe from Green Day solos. You know what I mean? Like, and I say that as, that's another act in the Hall of Fame that I just don't understand.
I have a list here that I call Dave Grohl's offenses, dubious distinctions, slights, and superlatives, real and imagined. It has a list of 16 things that I think, believe, and know in my heart. So number 16 is, I want to say that normally when I am arguing about art, I will say, hey, they made something, if it's a song or a movie or a book, and now we are talking about it. So it is effective art, and they win, and it's good, and it works. Normally. Not today. Not today. Because we're not talking about Dave Grohl and his decaffeinated bullshit rock and roll. We're talking about the Foo Fighters and why I can't fucking escape those guys. So that's point number 16 of 16.
And a very good point. Like, it isn't, right? This isn't about the Foo Fighters at all. This is about Dave Grohl. Right? 100%?
Well, it's partially. Number 15, I will concede. My major problem with Dave Grohl is that, it's an emotional thing with me. It's a personal thing. Dave Grohl is alive, and Kurt Cobain is not. Mm-hmm. And that is the beginning and the end of it for me. We have, we'll say 5 proper Nirvana albums. And we have 25 years of the fucking Foo Fighters. Life is not fair, one suspects.
That one's under real, right?
This plays into my Foo Fighters agnosticism. Have I ever told you about my concept of the lifetime pass?
I don't think so.
Elucidate.
So my theory of the lifetime pass is if somebody in a previous life did something that was so great that it overrides all the terrible stuff they did afterwards. Kind of plays into the high fidelity thing. Mm-hmm. But for me, Dave Grohl will get a lifetime pass for anything he did after Nirvana just because he was in Nirvana.
Okay.
Other people that have received it, Nicolas Cage, he did Raising Arizona. For that alone, he receives a lifetime pass. He can do as many bad direct to iTunes movies as he wants from now on. He will always get my DAP because he was in Raising Arizona. Red Hot Chili Peppers, they used to have a lifetime pass. I'm thinking of revoking it. Just, I don't know if they really deserve it. But
Mother's Milk, though.
Mother's Milk, Blood Sugar Sex Magic, One Hot Minute even. I mean, geez.
Yeah, underrated album.
I can't think of an act that I have fallen so out of love with as much as the Chili Peppers. Like, I guess from the peak of where I had them to where I am now. I can't think of another act because that early stuff is just so incredibly good. And then I guess drugs disappeared. I don't know. Like, I just...
Well, as I say all the time, which is worse? Which is worse? Like a band that makes the same album over and over and over again, or a band that refuses to? Yeah, sometimes the answer is either one.
Yeah, I mean, I would lean towards the refuses to, but only because of the existence of AC/DC, who somehow continues to put out the same album, but it rocks. So why
to be clear, like, I don't want Dave Grohl to die. I just don't want to hear about him.
Don't you?
Not this year. Never. Not when I turn on spoiler here. He's in a lot of rock documentaries. I get tired of that too.
Yeah.
See, the one thing I give Dave Grohl credit for is he is maybe the last rock and roll star to really hustle. Like anytime there's a new Foo Fighter album that drops, he's out there, he's selling it, he's on Stern, he's making the rounds, he's doing that show on HBO, he's doing Sound City, he's doing something that is pushing it actively. And you don't see that kind of hustle anymore. You don't see anybody really out there pushing it anymore.
Yeah, but you know what? Some motherfuckers are here to make friends. And Dave Grohl is here to make friends. And if you're here to make friends, I don't know what to do with a fella like you.
Now, Sweet 75, on the other hand, I got nothing besides that. That's all I got.
So that was number 15.
Yeah. Number 14. He played with Queens of the Stone Age. Recorded with Queens of the Stone Age, rock and roll phenomenon to some degree. Certainly has some authentic grassroots, a band with some credibility. To that, I have 2 points. Number one, who gives a fuck? Number two, I do not give a fuck. Point number 14.
I mean, they're supposed to be good.
I keep hearing they're good.
But you know who's better than Josh from Queens of the Stone Age? The other dudes from Caius. Moving along, number 13, Courtney Love once denounced Dave Grohl by saying that in high school, he was the kind of guy that was a soccer player, if not a soccer player. I forget exactly. And while there is nothing essentially wrong with being a soccer player, there it is.
See, but Dave Grohl also has the all-time best Courtney Love diss. When he was on Howard Stern, he asked Dave Grohl what he thought what Courtney Love's best song was. And he goes, Teenage Whore, because I know she wrote that one.
Ooh.
Wow.
Well,
Which works on many levels. Many levels.
Oof. Number 13. Number 13. Yeah, Dave Grohl played for Hardcore Also Ran's Void and whoever. Dave Grohl does have more hardcore credibility than I ever will. To that, I retort, I do not give a fuck. Discuss.
He also played in that hardcore band with Fred Armisen in that SNL sketch, and that was fun, right?
Where the mic did
right?
not work,
you got to credit
just
that
like
one.
at a real punk show.
And
I
guess he made that possible because that sketch never would have aired if not for Grohl's presence on the show, and that is hilarious. So maybe I'll reevaluate by the end of this show.
Let's take a deep dive into Dave Grohl. Are either of you familiar with the Pocket Watch demos tape?
No.
So this was a demo tape he put out pre-Foo Fighters. I'm not sure if I think it was post In Utero, post Kurt Suicide, but pre-Foo Fighters. It is available on YouTube. Just do Dave Grohl Pocket Watch. And just like the first Foo Fighter album, it is a collection of songs where he played all the instruments, recorded it himself. And it is okay.
What's it sound like? Like, pick a genre.
At its best, it sounds kind of like some DC post-punk a la Fugazi. At its worst, it sounds like middling 90s alternative, kind of like the Foo Fighters.
Don't you feel like that kind of sums up Dave Grohl in a nutshell? I mean,
Foo Fighters, their singles are all great. I mean, every time they put out a single, it's like, fucking A, this sounds good. Monkey Wrench, great single. This Is a Call, great single. Rope, great single. But you go back and you listen to like the rest of the album, and the rest of the album is just forgettable.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not even saying it's bad, but there's just like nothing that really sticks out. But man, every album, they have like those one or two great singles.
Well, like art is batting in baseball. If as an artist, if you can consistently go 3 for 10, maybe 2.5 for 10, that's a Hall of Fame career. And in music, famously, if you can have one decent song per album, that's a career right there. So, I want to hate Dave Grohl for the right reasons.
It's weird though,
And
because
if he only has a couple good songs per album, that's better than most. I'll concede that.
Yeah, because I feel like you just made the case for the Foo Fighters.
Yeah, you guys are making me defend the Foo Fighters. I mean, Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah, defend your boy. What's up with that?
Well,
number 12 in his.
You know what though? His mom is from Pittsburgh. So there's.
How did I not know this?
I didn't know that until I saw them play live, and Dave Grohl was like, "Hey, Pittsburgh, my mom's from Pittsburgh," and everybody in Pittsburgh was like, "Yeah."
He probably does that Do we know this for a fact, though? Or does
Nate,
he
how
go
many
to
times have
Philly
you
and
seen
he's
the
like,
Foo
yeah, my
Fighters?
mom's from Philly?
Do you really want me to answer that?
Yes.
It's like 5 times, I think.
Oh, Jesus. I wish I had seen Nirvana 5 times.
Look, they were at like 4 festivals I went to, and then one time I went to see just them. Okay, so it's not my fault. And even that
So
show,
number 12,
Yeah, go
in
ahead.
his overlong, unnecessary HBO documentary series, Dave Grohl's, what was it? American something? You know what I'm talking about?
I can't remember the name of the
I
series,
can't remember
but
the
I know
name
what you're
either,
talking
but
about.
yeah.
Exactly. There is a quick flash where the band are playing in New Orleans, and Dave Grohl was on stage, and he, for a moment, slips into this Louis Armstrong Satchmo voice. I mean, he's playing in New Orleans, birthplace of jazz, hallowed ground, and he's up on stage talking like Fat Albert. He goes, hey, 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 we're just shucking and jiving and jamming. Some
happen?
shit like that. And, you know, he's not doing it to mock anybody racially, but that's who he is. He's co-opting some shit right there. He is a fucking clown shoe.
Okay. Number 11?
Number 11, do I have to see this guy in every fucking music documentary I watch? For Christ's sakes. What, did the director do something to piss off Henry Rollins and you had to get somebody else? Go, give it a rest.
Here's the
Well,
question.
it goes Henry Rollins, Ian McKay, then Dave Grohl.
And then if it's R&B or hip hop, it's Questlove.
Yeah. Number 10, to quote the great Chaz Palminteri, and I might be paraphrasing here, Dave Grohl, Nate, that's what you're upset about? Dave Grohl? Dave Grohl makes millions of dollars a year. How much does your father make? If your father can't pay the rent, go ask Dave Grohl and see what he tells you. Dave Grohl doesn't care about you, Nate. Why
I think
should
Dave
you care
Grohl
about
would
him?
pay the rent.
Nobody
I
cares.
think if you asked him.
He would want to be my friend, so he probably would pay the rent.
Number 9, Everlong. Maybe an iconic song of the 90s. You know, that version that he played acoustic on Stern certainly has a lot of traction. I mean, how do you guys rank that?
So, first of all, I never really liked that song, but it was whatever. I was like, it was just like another song in the 90s. But now I absolutely love that song, and it has nothing to do with the song itself. And it has to do with, I saw the Foo Fighters and Weezer at an arena show. And
let's talk about Weezer now.
we don't have enough time to talk about Weezer. We'll have to circle back and do a Weezer
4
pod.
hours later.
But the entire show, there was this drunk guy sitting like 2 rows in front of me, and he kept screaming at Dave Grohl throughout the entire show, play fucking Everlong. That's all the entire show, just screaming, play fucking Everlong. So then Dave does this thing where I think it was right before the encore, or during the encore, comes out into the middle of the arena into a small stage, and a spotlight comes down, and he starts talking about his wife and how much he loves his wife. And this guy screams at the top of his lungs in a silent arena, fuck your fucking wife hardcore, play Everlong. And it is the greatest concert moment I have ever experienced, because he then played Everlong. So I have a very, very weird relationship with the song Everlong, but I love it.
You're not wrong by being entertained by that. I will continue.
But as a song, it's no My Hero, you know?
James?
Everlong does nothing for me. It's not one of those Foo Fighter tracks that I have any kind of love for.
See, here's my thing about Everlong. Who gives a fuck? Number 8, to paraphrase Tom Hanks, there's no smiling in metal.
So it's really funny that this is one of your bullet points, because watching Dave Grohl perform live, the few times that I've seen them, I find it kind of endearing how happy he is but mostly because to me, it's a look as if he's saying, I know I shouldn't fucking be here. Like, and he is amazed.
That's how I will choose to interpret it from now on.
Like, watch it, especially when he's doing live shows. He literally looks like I should at least be back here behind the drums.
What kind of twisted deviant wants to have fun and enjoy himself? I don't trust that shit.
Those are the kind you have to keep an eye on.
Yeah. Number 7, to quote the Beastie Boys, in reference to the Foo Fighters, I mean, this is me applying the Beastie Boys quote. They didn't write this about him, but they were probably thinking of dudes like Dave Grohl and the Foo Fighters. You think it's chocolate milk, but it's watered down Yoo-hoo. And that's what the Foo Fighters is. It's not edgy, dangerous, authentic rock and roll. It's some dude that used to be in Nirvana. That was a band that had some real fucking teeth, which the Foo Fighters don't.
See, but is it supposed to? I mean, I kind of feel like the obvious analog here is Ringo in the Beatles. And if you heard like Don't Pass Me By on the White Album, you were like, all right, that's a solid tune. Maybe Ringo could kick out some jams. And, it's like afterwards you get angry that he never wrote something or some shit like that, and Dave Grohl is never going to be.
Well,
Kurt
you see,
Cobain.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, Dave Grohl is never going to be Kurt Cobain. He's never going to be the great songwriter, but he's always going to be the guy who was in Nirvana with a great songwriter.
Yeah, I think that's true. But and it's funny because that's actually a point I was going to bring up, which is, Ringo is in the Hall of Fame as a solo performer, and he's yet another one. Now, hold on. I think he is a musical excellence winner. But anyway, but
him and now Cool J.
Yeah, that's right. But the point is, yet another guy who, I'm not trying to take away from everything you've accomplished, but Hall of Fame, you're in the Hall of Fame for being in the Beatles. So why did we give him another award? Dave Grohl is in the Hall of Fame for being in Nirvana and pretty much for being Dave Grohl, right? So why does he need this other award for the Foo Fighters? It makes no sense to me.
Well, you see, here's the thing. Like number 6, this give me a second. I'm going to tie this in.
Yeah.
Number 6, the biggest tool that I ever worked with in the music journalism business, the mofo who most used music as a lifestyle accessory to show off and preen and prance about in, this person just loved the Foo Fighters. The Foos are music for people like him who in their heart of hearts cannot handle Nirvana and all of their abrasive edginess. This same motherfucker was so geeked when Lemmy made an appearance on some Foo Fighters album. Like, dude, you don't like Motorhead. To you, Lemmy is a signifier. Lemmy is is you wearing a battle patch of a band that you don't even listen to. Fuck off. You and Dave Grohl are fucking clown shoes. Now, to tie this in with the previous point, life will always reward a shitty, watered down, toothless version of whatever the fuck used to be good. Metallica, the Red Hot Chili Peppers, that shit show the kids like called Paramore. All you got to do is smile and play nice and be groovy and hold hands and go, yeah, I know I was edgy, but now let's just relax and have some fun. Keep it positive, and people will love your ass. Fuck that.
All right. But here's the thing. To go back to Chaz Palminteri in A Bronx Tale, you paid $20 and he's out of your life forever. What the fuck do you care? Why do you still care about Dave Grohl?
Because every time I turn on a music documentary, I got to hear about him. I'm trying to quit Twitter. I am, because it's a cesspool. But I still spend too much time on Twitter. And every year, there's always some Dave Grohl shit there. So I would love to not have him in my life.
It is to me like this is what I think about when I think about the Foo Fighters. And it is Stephen Colbert was interviewing Paul McCartney. And he asked Paul McCartney, he said, have you ever, did you guys ever think about doing another Beatles performance, after breaking up and after Jawn was murdered. And he said, no, because I would look to my right and Jawn wouldn't be there. And which is an awesome quote. But then he ... It's the same thing if we did Wings and Linda wasn't there. And I was like, it is not the fucking same thing at all, sir. Like, I understand you love your wife and I respect that, but do not dare say that it is the same thing as John Lennon not being at your right side. And that's kind of how I feel about the Foo Fighters, right? Like I like Wings. I fucking like Wings. Who doesn't like Wings? Jet's a fucking banger, right? But I'm not trying to put
Melvin's covered Jet.
Did they really?
Yeah.
I saw Ween cover Band on the Run live.
Nice.
You said Ween.
I did.
Dave Grohl does a great Band on the Run.
See, but not to keep going back to the Beatles metaphor, but I mean, again, like Wings, like, they got some decent jams, but are they as good as the Beatles? No, absolutely not. But, why hold that against Paul McCartney?
William Campbell, you mean?
Yeah.
Number 5, Dave Grohl is a 2-time Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductee. To that, I retort, so what?
Yeah. He's one of 3 in this class. Tina Turner in previously for Ike and Tina, and Carole King in as a songwriter.
So number 4, Grohl drummed for Killing Joke, one of the best bands ever. He played drums for free on their self-titled 2002 album, which apparently was him returning the favor for Nirvana lifting Killing Joke's 80s.
I was just going to bring that up.
Yeah. So he drummed for Killing Joke, one of the best bands ever, after he stole their shit. Or maybe Kurt did, but we'll blame it on Dave. So
the I forget the name of the Killing Joke song, but the riff from "Come As You Are" and the Killing Joke riff,
80s,
very very similar.
So to that, my retort is, my response or counterpoint is, Killing Joke was a band for 23 years before that. So who gives a shit?
I'm sensing a theme.
You mentioned Wings.
Yes.
You mentioned Wings. That's a good dovetail into number 3 here. The Foo Fighters are what they used to call soft rock in the 70s. It's what they used to call shit music, like the Eagles, and bands that were not as hardcore as the Eagles. Poco, for example. Wings.
But there's not much sonic relation there.
Yeah, but it's soft rock. It's soft rock. There's better shit going on.
See,
these guys are.
But even Dave Grohl has described Foo Fighters as dad rock. He is under no illusion that what he is doing is anything other than like middle of the road, alterna rock for the modern rock fan, whoever they may still be today.
But is that some sort of self-deprecating like crutch to hide behind into not trying to make better music?
See, I don't think it is. I mean, here's a guy who's, he's got the bona fides, he's from the DC punk scene in like the early to mid 80s. He is under no illusion that what he is doing is like the most real intense music ever. He's out there,
fun.
He's enjoying himself.
Rock and roll is not fun. It's not dangerous. Most of the music that I like is played by people that I would not be comfortable having unattended and unsupervised and unwatched in my living room. And Dave Grohl's not that dude. There's nothing dangerous about that guy.
Dave Grohl's helping your wife wash the dishes.
My ass, but I don't think I matter that much.
What are we up to? Number 4?
So now we're wrapping it up here. We're bringing it home. So we talked about soft rock, and here's why this is really bad. What's wrong with that? I'll tell you what's wrong with that. Ironically, one of the signature hits of 70s soft rock is Jerry Rafferty's song Baker Street, as recently heard in the Rick and Morty television show, for example. You might not know that. Listen to this. That song. You know that song?
Yeah.
Okay, so that is Baker Street. I like the song. Probably the ballsiest. I mean, it's has a lot going for it. Well, I mean, that song. My point here is that the Foo Fighters covered that song. They covered it, and they ditched that iconic saxophone part, which is pretty much the entire hook of the song. Well, that and the song's dripping existential misery. But in covering this song, they flinched. They dropped the sax solo, maybe like the most iconic sax solo of the decade, and certainly a top 10 one ever, or a hook, rather, sax part. The Foo Fighters covered this song. They didn't have the heart to commit to it, so they just turned it into some sort of throwaway B-side track. Took a classic song, and they gutted it, and they shat it out, and then they shat on it some more. And
I can see why that's number 2.
Artistically gutless turds. They didn't have the balls to use the saxophone, or they couldn't figure out a way. They wanted to kind of play the song, but not make people think they weren't cool, you know?
You know, it's a topic for another podcast, but I've wanted to trace why we stopped using the saxophone in rock music, because it was so everywhere for decades. And then
I want to be on that, and I want to do some research. Like, we'll find some people, because that's
figure it out.
I will send you my my saxophone playlist.
I like it.
That has some good sax jams.
Good. Yeah. But yeah.
So number one, here's what brings it home for me, right? For Dave Grohl's Probot album, James, to your point, and Probot, you know, I'm sure if you're listening to this, well, if you like Dave Grohl this much, you probably turned it off 14 points ago.
These guys are assholes.
But Probot was an all-star metal project released in 2004 by a very good label that should have known better, but they got to eat. You know, I understand that. You know, make your money, guys. Dave Grohl wrote songs for all kinds of people who accepted the invitations. Eric from Trouble, Snake from Voivod, Kronos from Venom, Wino, Lemmy from the Lemmy from the Obsessed, the iconic Lemmy. All those guys accepted Dave's invitation and went to his party and recorded songs with him. Follow me so far?
We're on it.
Kurt from DRI, God Among Gods, accepted his invitation. You know who turned down the invitation from our boy, Dave Grohl's? Tom Araya from Slayer. He said, "No, you know what? I heard this song. Meh. I'm not going to sing on that shit." So there it goes. Dave Grohl is not cool enough for Slayer, and he's not cool enough for me.
See, but
not that I matter.
What era of Slayer album is that?
It was after God Hates Us All and before Christ Illusion.
So where does that rank in the Slayer pantheon?
I mean, Slayer's Slayer, you know? They're not on the Stern Show goofing off. Tom Araya is not in New Orleans going, "Hey, everybody, it's good old Tom Araya band." So,
and he would have committed
not
to the
cool
sax.
enough for Slayer, not cool enough for me.
It makes sense. That makes sense. I you know, and you said real or imagined, and I think 98% of those were real. Were really how you feel.
I will concede that several of these points might be based in dubious rhetoric, willful interpretations of facts. Some of them may be borderline psychotic. Really, I just can't get over him being alive when Kurt is not.
Yeah.
Sorry, you're the scapegoat, pal.
It's fine.
See, not that it excuses any of it, but also weigh that against the post-Nirvana musical output of Chris Novoselic, who did Sweet 75 and Eyes Adrift and the No WTO combo with Jello Biafra. And all of a sudden, Foo Fighters starts to look a little bit better.
But, you know,
You're not wrong.
Yeah, I definitely do think that Dave Grohl may on this podcast have gotten shit on more than he should have. But I think it's just the wild swing from they just inducted them into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I mean, I really, like I said, I consider myself more of a fan of the Foo Fighters than Nirvana, yet for some reason, it just does not sit right in my stomach. I don't know. And I guess maybe the scary thing about it to me is the fact that we're almost out of rock people. Like contemporary rock people are almost gone, right? Like what's Jack White and then who? Like what are they going to do?
Paramore, here they come.
But you know what I'm saying? Like it's almost like a mortality kind of thing to me in that
you got Days of the New. You got Stain coming up.
But like I'm really starting to feel like, everybody always jokes, oh, rock is dead, da, 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 da. But now I'm like, oh shit, it might be dead. We like, oh God, this might be it. That's what scares me the most about the Foo Fighters being inducted is that because when you think about it, I mean, who else?
Using the Hall of Fame 25 years since their first release criteria. Like who's left at that point, going back to 96 at this point, like Limp Bizkit.
Right.
And I don't say that facetiously. I'm just trying to think of who was big in the world of rock since 95, 96.
Well, Nate, who does this open up the door for?
Strokes dropped in 2001.
And I'm sorry, Nate was saying this before. This was not my idea.
This scares me that this opens up the door. We're going to have the Weezer discussion. We're going to have to talk about Weezer because they're probably going to get in, though I think they are eligible. Right?
25 years, yeah. First album dropped in 94.
Yeah, it sounds about right.
How are they not in yet? They must be saving them.
Maybe they're waiting for a good album. I don't know.
Nate, I know I hit you up with this on text, Dave. I don't know if I did with you or not, but Weezer now have 15 studio albums.
No, that's impossible. That's clearly wrong.
Of original material. If you include the covers album, it's 16.
Up until the Teal album, and I think including the Teal album, maybe, I have a spreadsheet that I made of every song on every album and the writing credits. And spoiler alert for my future Weezer article, but Rivers allowing other songwriters is what killed this band. And I'm not even, and there were songs that I found that I don't love, but they're forgivable. But when they started making just straight bullshit, it's all other songwriters invited in. And I don't know. I don't know.
Well, I mean,
Weezer, similar to Foo Fighters, always have that really good first single off the album. Well, maybe not really good, but that one single off their album where you're like, all right, this isn't terrible. And you check out the rest of the album and you're like, fuck you, Rivers. You did it again.
You fucking got me again. Yep, exactly. Every time.
Yeah. So who does this open the door for? Who do you think besides Weezer?
I mean, we're going to start, I just feel like, God, what year did that John Mayer album come out from? None of this seems good to me. I can't think of anybody good that it opens the door for. Right.
Well, I'll tell you who it opens the floodgates for. If we're talking 90s. Okay. Here's a short list. If Foo Fighters are in the Rock Hall, I think they should also welcome in Fastbacks, Crash Test Dummies. Certainly should be in there if Foo Fighters are in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Counting Crows.
Oh, yeah, Counting Crows, certainly.
Oh, yeah, first ballot.
Yeah, it's a friend of mine on, I don't want to say his real name, but a friend of mine on Twitter, one of my Twitter pals, he also makes the astute point in music history that it's such a shame that Counting Crows died after the second album. It was a plane crash.
I thought they died after the first one.
No, second album. That's why it's so uneven. It wasn't quite finished.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. It was like sketches from My Sweetheart the Drunk. Gotcha.
Exactly. This is a guy who gets it. So if if Foo Fighters are in the Rock Hall, that opens the door. Did I say Rembrandts yet?
No, but
Yeah, the Rembrandts.
Yeah.
And three more. You got the Primitive Radio Gods. Follows naturally. Jewel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, certainly similarly hard-hitting band as the Foo Fighters, Jewel.
And who interviewed Jewel on this podcast?
Oh, I did.
You did. Not
There you
on this
go.
podcast, but
Was she cool?
She was too cool.
Nice.
A little too cool.
Excellent.
Like off-putting. It was like one of those I expected something completely different, and she was really cool.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, as a guy who was a fan of the Lilith Fair generation, although I did not enjoy her set at the show, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
Makes me reevaluate some things.
So, but
also, last one, Jamiroquai.
oh well, that's a first.
Foo
album.
Fighters are in, so should that dude be.
But
Was it a dude or a hat? I forget.
This is definitely the hat. But that, I mean, that floodgate question. I mean, like, and then I try to think of like who from that era like really deserves to be in there, and then it gets to be really slim pickings. Like I would say Tori Amos, right? We could put Tori Amos in there, though. If Kate Bush isn't in there, I guess Tori Amos better fucking sit her ass down and wait. But
Yeah, but if Laura Nyro's in,
right. But you know, I'm just, like I said, I'm just really sad that this is the thing that made me realize that there's no rock music. It's over. It's so sad.
yeah, I mean,
Smashing
after
Pumpkins
the late,
aren't in, are they?
I don't believe they are. Neither Soundgarden, neither's Alice in Chains. I mean, there's people that could be in. I don't know what they're doing.
And the
Pearl Jam
fucking
in there?
Foo Fighters are in before all those dudes.
Pearl Jam is in, yes.
okay,
But yeah, the Foo Fighters are in, and Alice in Chains aren't. Like, get out of here! Like, get out of here! It doesn't. It like I don't get it.
did Alice in Chains have 3 great albums?
Yeah.
One,
Are we counting
Two,
like does Sap
two
count
and a
as
half.
an album?
Which one?
Sap.
No, that's an EP.
Does
What about
does
Mad Season?
2 and 2 EPs count? That counts as 3, surely.
Right. I think so. I'm counting it. No, I mean, I don't know. Like, it's a very weird thing, this Rock Hall of Fame, because it's one of those things where you know, the old, I never wanted to be a part of a club that would have me as a member. Like, I think the Hall of Fame's stupid, but then I get angry every year at the people they put in it. It makes no sense.
Well, like I was alluding to earlier, you know, you start hitting like the early 2000s, and who is there? You know, there's the Strokes, there's the White Stripes, there's the Yeah Yeah Yeahs, but like, who am I missing? Like,
You know, and Beck is eligible, but
should Beck be in there? Midnight Vultures, really good album.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, if the Foo Fighters are in there, yeah, God damn it right, Beck should be in there. What am I doing? Yes. You know, it makes no sense. Harry Nilsson is not in the fucking Hall of Fame, but the Foo Fighters are. I don't understand.
I'm sitting here in my basement looking at my CD shelf from the 90s. What about Korn? Should Korn be in there?
They will be. It's just so sad. It's so sad that I can't even think of people. Like, can you think of someone that you legitimately think they should be in the Hall of Fame that came out post the 25-year cutoff?
I mean, there's Bloodhound Gang, there's Two Skinny Jays, there's Grand Buffet.
Yeah. Grand Buffet.
Grand Buffet, they should be in there.
Which kind of goes back to my hip hop point, which is they better start to pivot, because if they don't, they are out of people. They're out. Like, you know, and I do love that the Hall of Fame always tries to get like somebody in there that they're like, no, we're cool. See, we know what we're doing, right? Do you think the Roots will get in just based off of how ubiquitous Questlove is?
That is how, I mean, like, all respect to Questlove.
Right.
That's how it works.
And actually, you know what? I would even go as far as to say that I believe they should be in for just the Electric Ladyland neo soul explosion of, the Roots, Bilal, Common, Black Star, Erykah Badu, everybody that was recording at that time, that whole scene. Like, I've kind of been revisiting that whole Soulquarian thing. Jay Dilla working in there as well. I've been revisiting that whole period, and I can't believe that it was just like a 2-year thing, and that it didn't, and that egos got in the way, and that everybody went their own way. It is so sad to me. The quality of music. D'Angelo. Well, I'm going to guess that music critics are going to make D'Angelo a first ballot Hall of Famer, and I don't think he should be. I think he could have been, had he, continued to make music on the trajectory of Brown Sugar to Voodoo, but then disappearing for 10 years, he, like, in my eyes, killed his own chances of being in there. But I don't know, like, without that pivot to hip hop and R&B, I don't.
I think what we're going to see is a lot of the Warped Tour alternative press bands. And, full disclosure, I wrote for alternative press for a lot of years, even though I wasn't really, tight with a lot of those bands. But I think you're going to see people like Against Me, certainly, My Chemical Romance, inevitable.
Yeah.
Inevitable. Afghan Wigs. Afghan Wigs is, a classic. Like, are they cool enough to be in? Like, they're maybe too cool to be in. That's a band that I would vote for. Yeah, they're fucking awesome.
I dread where this might head, as it might.
You're gonna say Bush, aren't you?
No, I'm not. But I dread where it might head, because it might end friendships. But we're putting Wilco in there, right?
Up to which album?
You dick.
I don't rate them at all.
I mean, we're stopping with Anodyne, right?
Yeah. Crumbs, you crumb bum. Tool, I could see somehow finding their way in there.
I don't know if they would politic. Like, I think that would be one of those, like, maybe behind the scenes, they would contrive it to look like they were dragged in against their will. But
yeah,
those guys aren't dummies either.
It's true. It's definitely true.
Fun-loving criminals.
Absolutely.
Should be.
Yeah, we should get them on this show.
Fucking
They're
A,
not
there you
doing
go.
anything, right? We
should do our own Hall of Fame.
Hey, they are huge in Ireland.
I don't
to
doubt
this
that.
day.
I don't doubt that. Yeah. You said Afghan Wigs, and I don't know why I completely forgot this. The goddamn Foo Fighters are in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and the Pixies are not. Okay.
Oh, there you go. The Pixies.
Like, I don't understand what we're doing. It doesn't make any sense. Like, and also, why are you making Dave Grohl be the guy who gets inducted? Don't you want him to be the guy who does the induction, like talks bullshit that, we just spent a podcast talking about that you hate when he does? But isn't that his role? His role is to be the guy who says, oh, I've listened to these guys since forever, right? You got him on the wrong side of the mic.
So in the tone that Banky Edwards, or in the tone that the guy calls Banky a fucking tracer,
yeah,
I'm gonna say about Dave Grohl, you fucking curator.
It's 100% factual, though.
So that's what I think about the Foo Fighters, and I think I'm right.
It's just so puzzling to me. I am really confused, and I don't know that I'm any less confused than I was entering this conversation. How this happened.
Flaming Lips are probably a shoe in there at some point.
Yeah, I would see that. I feel like there's someone huge that we're missing. Oh, they're gonna fucking put Coldplay in there, I'm sure. Right? I didn't say they deserve to be in there. I'm just saying they're gonna put them in there. They just put the Foo Fighters.
Yeah, that'll happen.
Yeah. It's frustrating. It's very frustrating. Gentlemen, you got anything to plug?
I have a series of comic strips about exactly this. I'll send you a link to it.
Yeah, okay, yeah. And
just,
I'll link it to the stuff.
That a suburban metal dad at length lamenting the ongoing success of the Foo Fighters. And for many bands like Metallica haven't been important to me since their third album or the EP after it. But, for those guys, I think the guys that made those early records deserve the entire world. Like, okay, I don't care about your music anymore. I'm not going to go out of my way to trash it. It's not for me. But hey, you made those first 3 records. You can have it all. You get it. You're getting what you deserve.
See, that's what I was saying about the Lifetime Pass. Dave Grohl, Nevermind, In Utero, Unplugged. Like,
yeah, but he's in for those.
Go write 25 years of meh music. I don't care. You gave me those albums. You get a pass.
I want to talk real quick about Dave Grohl's songwriter, which is when I saw Weezer and the Foo Fighters. Weezer was the opening act, and which still confuses me, and I guess makes sense, but I don't really. I guess they.
What is the correct order there?
I don't know. Like, but it made sense, I guess, that they went first. But they did a cover of Big Me, and Big Me is a great fucking Weezer song. It's one of my least favorite songs ever, but coming out of Rivers Cuomo's mouth, it made so much sense. And then it made me realize that, like, Dave Grohl is just putting on other people's skin when he writes these songs, right? And I think that's what bothers me about this Hall of Fame thing is I guess I get it. I just don't understand it. I don't.
Radiohead, are they in the Hall of Fame?
No, but they should be. They'll go in, right?
Because their first disc was what, 94 as well?
Yeah, that sounds about right. Creep. No, you know what? When did Oasis, right? We're gonna get them.
Oasis,
we're gonna have a big fight on stage with those guys.
They were 94.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess it was around then. All right. Well, we solved nothing, did we? We just made ourselves angry or happy.
What about, am I outvoted here? Are there 2 pro, 2 con, or?
I am pro Dave Grohl. I
say thumbs down.
I am con Hall of Fame induction.
I am neither for nor against.
Mm-hmm. You're playing it very level over there. I like it. I see what you're doing. So I guess
I'm not sure if we solved anything, but
we didn't solve anything. And congratulations to the 2021 Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductees.
Can we just agree that the Randy Rhoads guitar solo on the live Ozzy Osbourne tribute album in Suicide Solution is one of the best minute and 30 seconds ever?
I'm certainly not going to argue against.
Yeah, you got no fight.
All right,
you got no.
Just
fights.
throwing that out there.
It's awesome, gentlemen. Thank you for joining me on this beautiful podcast. Got anything else you want to add?
Absolute pleasure to be hanging out and talking to you guys all these years later. We didn't hang out a lot, but partying with you guys when I was a little bit too old to do it was absolutely some of the most fun I ever had in my life. You guys are legit. James, I'm sorry for not saying your name on the previous podcast, but
it gave me a certain aura of mystery. It's all cool.
The brother revealed. No, but thank you very much. You guys are cool. You had a cool friend group. It's so often that people look at their younger brother and think, oh, look at that guy and his dipshits. You guys are fucking hilarious and fun. So it's an honor to be talking with you.
Not to toot our own horns, but I think we can all agree that one of the best musical experiences any of us ever witnessed was Grand Buffet playing in our kitchen at the Beast House.
One of the best bands ever played a show in your kitchen.
And it was, you want to talk about Richter scale. We might have been on the Richter
Rage Against the Machine never played in your kitchen.
They did not.
No, Grand Buffet did though.
That's right.
So you guys are still bringing the heat.
I love it. Gentlemen, thank you. And we'll have to do this again sometime.
For the Weezer episode.
Jimmy Pop, call us. You know where to find us.
There it is. We solved absolutely nothing. But man, did I have a killer time doing it. My thanks again to James and DX for taking time out of their day to yuck it up with me. Well, that's it for the podcast this week. Join me next week where my guest is a surprise, I guess, to all of us, because I still don't know who it's going to be. So we'll find out together who it is. Blue skies. Until next time, everybody.
Hey yo, displace the guilt and embrace the pleasure. Your taste in music doesn't have to be measured.
Yo, That's My Jawn is a Lonely Monk production written and produced by yours truly, Nate Runkle. Theme song by Phil Tyler Music featuring Nate 3.0. Special thanks to Fox Run Brands, DX Ferris, Andrew Scott, Natalie Runkle, and the incredibly brilliant and wickedly stunning Katie Daubney. If you or anyone you know has any ideas they would like to share or any guests they would like to hear on the podcast, please feel free to reach out to us at yothat'smyjawn@gmail.com. Or you can leave an audio message for us and possibly hear yourself on a future episode by visiting anchor.fm/ytmj/message. Until next time, be sure to displace the guilt and embrace the pleasure and shout to the world, yo, that's my Jawn.